Doom Spire Defense is a lot of towers, some good, some bad. Today, I'm going to rank every single one so you can know which one to use. Battler is a good tower for beginners. It has 25 DPS at max and even has a 6th level which can do 100 DPS. So I'm going to put it in B tier. Slingshotter is a decent tower with its flaming arrows ability. It's decent but has quite bad cost efficiency, so I'm going to put it in C tier.
Bomber, on the other hand, is a terrible tower. It has a delayed attack time and bad DPS and probably the worst cost efficiency in the game, so that's a D tier for you. Paintballer isn't the best tower for DPS, but its gimmick is uncloaking enemies and having splash damage. Also, it has a grenade ability, but I think it's a B tier because it can uncloak enemies for towers like Swordmaster. Swordmaster is a tower that carries the easy mode section for towers. It is crazy. It has great cost efficiency, great DPS, splash damage. The only bad thing is its range. So that's going to be a solid A tier. Lastly, for the beginner towers is Freezer. While I cannot say it's good, having the worst cost efficiency in the game, it is the only proper freezing stunning tower, so I'll put it at the bottom of B tier. Moving on to intermediate towers, we have Mr. Tix, and I don't really need to say much apart from money. So he's gonna go in S tier because of money. Baller is an interesting tower because it has balls that can stun enemies and bounce between enemies. It's a pretty good stub DPS, having 90 DPS at max, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Rocketeer is a great tower, having amazing range and good DPS and splash damage. It also has a mastery that lets you burn enemies, which is pretty OP, so A tier, and I highly recommend it for beginners. Troller is a tower that places units on a path. The thing is, they don't move, so unless an enemy walks into it, it's useless, and most people place it at the back for additional defense, so it can be a waste of money. D tier, but if you can use it properly, it can be a solid B tier or maybe A tier. I don't have much to say about Arsenal apart from it's a solid good early defense with 2 ranges because it has 2 troops, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Cloner is a cheap spawner tower that is pretty good at max. It can spawn things of over 1000 HP. The only bad thing is that you need to see the enemy to spawn anything, so it makes it very unique and pretty mid. 6 Shooter is a tower that can shoot 6 bullets. Okay, but in all honesty, it's pretty good at early game. Also with mastery, it can become an economy tower. A tier. The most overpowered towers are advanced towers. They're really good. The first one we have is Spawn, and it can spawn units for a single battler that walks into enemies to a literal sword master that can stomp, slam, summon. Oh yeah, it can also spawn rocketeers, suicide bombers, slingshotters, ballers, and so much more, so solid A tier. Boombox is a tower that carries the team, as the shopkeeper says. If you didn't already know, it doubles the fire rates of towers with its ability. Easy S tier. Heavy Gunner is a very big tower that doesn't use energy attacks. It also has missiles that does pretty good DPS. The only downside is that you can only place 5. A tier. Rockstar's like Boombox, but it increases damage by 50%. But unlike Boombox, it doesn't have an ability that doubles it. Its ability only does a few damage, so it's basically half as good as Boombox. So that's an A tier. Corsair's a new tower that makes money when it shoots. It can make 100 ticks every shot, and it has splash damage after level 3. But it lacks one thing that all early defense towers have: hidden detection. It's terrible at defending. It's only good for economy, and it does not live up to the pizza place that it once was. But if you can get it to work in quad, it's pretty good, so B tier. Hyperlaser's a tower with a lot of range, and it just got nerfed. It's your typical slow fire rate hard hitter towers, but it got its pierce removed, so it's kind of trash. B tier now. Shielder's a newish tower that can protect other towers. It has decent range, decent DPS, and an ability which boosts fire rate, so it's pretty good. A tier. Pianist is probably the most random tower in the game. It spawns pianos out of the sky, which is pretty random. B or maybe C tier. Wizard is a tower that spawns spells. It's good at crowd control, from being able to spawn fires to tornadoes and other things. I haven't given it enough time to do a definite ranking, but probably A tier. Machinery, my beloved. I have so many good things to say about this tower. It has good DPS by itself for a fair price and spawns sentries. of all different kinds. Easy S tier. General is the best support tower in the game. While it can't shoot, it does good DPS with its summons, its nuclear missiles, and don't forget it's an economy tower and can heal HP. And it also has whole map range and a range buff. Easiest S tier of my life. Terminal Garage is the other new tower added in the most recent update. While it has the same level requirements as General, it's not as good. It's your average military base that spawns cars and tanks, but it also has a plane that does good DPS, but I don't know the plane's DPS, so I'm not sure really. B tier. Exclusive towers are special because I don't have 3 of them for these reasons. The first tower we have is Cake Battler. It was tamed by being an OG. It's pretty good, being able to stun enemies and spawn a cake guy. B tier or maybe A. Pinata is an amazing tower that spawns candy. It spawns as fast as you can click, so it's very overpowered. It can spawn candy buckets that have a lot of HP and you can spawn loads. S tier. Lumia is a tower that's pretty outclassed according to the wiki. It can spawn fire, ice and lightning, but it only has 88 DPS at max. B tier. Headless Jack was added in Halloween 2024 and it's basically a bomber but good. It spawns bombs that stick to enemies and has a certain amount of bombs they'll start to explode, but there's also an ability that can explode all bombs even if they're out of range. A tier. Bastard towers require max mastery on a tower to unlock them, so they're probably pretty good. The first and the worst of them is BB Gunner. It's not bad, but it's definitely not worth the price of 5,000 bricks. It's your generic assault rifle tower, but it can call in other friends to help, so C tier I guess. Tycoon is the master tower of Mr. Tix. It recently got a rebalance that made it able to buff other towers. The only other clicker tower in the game is you click to fill the bar, and you can also use the bar to get money from the bar. At max level it can generate 25k under every minute, so it's pretty OP. S tier. Galactic Gunner is the best DPS tower in the game. It's the evolved tower of Heavy Gunner. It can reach up to 1.7k DPS with supports, and you can place 12. Don't forget it gains a shield, it can shoot fireballs, and it can lock on and shoot enemies out of range. S tier. The last tower we have is Barracks. It's the evolved version of Spawn and it's pretty OP. It can spawn rushers, shot rushers, all the way up to overpowered mortars and a minigun man with 3.5k HP. Very OP. S tier. Hey, editor's note here. Doomsfire Defense added like a few towers a few days ago. It's kind of annoying having to add them to the video, but the Teamer's tower, I'm too broke. Oops, wrong. I am way too broke for that. So, but I can tell you that it is the jack of all trades, and it's mad. It's actually pretty OP. And the Ray Gunner, well, that's also really overpowered, very overpowered, especially the 80 Pierce. Ray Gun is good for the Watt map, very good for the Watt map. I think that's an A tier, and Teamers is an S tier. This is the final ranking. Subscribe. Goodbye.